Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a deep breath with me. Close your eyes for a moment and just feel the rhythm of your pulse, the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Feel the life that courses through you. Feel that sacred spark that has been ignited in you since the very moment you drew your first breath. Now, when I say these words, believe in yourself and your abilities. With the right mindset, anything is possible. I want you to feel them in your bones and every fiber of your being. This is not just a catchphrase. This is the anthem of your destiny. You see, there are forces at work in this world, voices that try to break you, circumstances that threaten to bend you, doubts that sabotage you. But I stand before you to remind you, no matter how ferocious the storm, no matter how heavy the night, your belief in yourself and your abilities can carve the sun from behind the clouds and set your course for triumph. So let us begin this journey together, not with timid footsteps, but with boldness, with conviction, with the unwavering resolve of those who refuse to be anything less than what they were created to be. Today, I challenge you to embrace your power, to claim your birthright, to seize the truth that with the right mindset, anything is possible. When I talk about belief, I'm not speaking of some fleeting emotion that flares up when the lights are on and the applause roars. I'm talking about a conviction that anchors you when the seas rise and the gale howls. True belief is not a decoration you wear when things are going well. It is the fortress you retreat to when everything else falls apart. I remember a time early in my career when opportunity seemed to slip through my fingers like sand. I'd auditioned for a part, convinced in my heart that I belonged in that character's skin, only to watch the casting director's face remain impassive as they told me, "Thank you, but not this time." I would leave that room carrying the weight of disappointment, the hunger of rejection. And yet, even in those moments, there was a little voice inside of me that whispered, "You can, you will. They just don't see it yet." So I held onto that whisper as if my very life depended on it, because in many ways it did. I refused to let a faltering door determine the worth of my dreams. I refused to let 100 no's drown out that inner yes. And every time I stepped back into that audition room, I did so carrying the unshakable belief that my purpose was bigger than their hesitation. That belief became my compass. That belief led me to roles I never imagined. That belief would pave a path for me and for countless others who would one day hear my story and know that if I could rise, so could they. Belief, my friends, is not conjured by magic. It is forged in the furnace of experience. It grows when you decide that failure will be your teacher, not your jailer. It grows when you look at a shattered dream and refuse to gather the pieces into a coffin, but rather into stepping stones. I want you to think of a seed planted in the richest soil. It must push through darkness to reach the light. It must wrestle with earth, roots tangling in search of sustenance. And every storm, every drought, every moment of uncertainty is a trial that tests the seed's resolve to rise. But when it finally bursts through the soil, standing tall against the breeze, it whispers to the world, "I refuse to be buried." It is the same for you. Inside you is a seed of possibility, yet it will not flourish on its own. You must water it with your belief. You must fertilize it with your mindset. And above all, you must protect it from the weeds of doubt and fear that seek to choke its life. Because if you allow your mind to entertain the thought that you're not enough, that you don't have the capacity to succeed, you will starve that seed before it even has a chance to sprout. Now let me tell you something about the stories we tell ourselves. We are storytellers by nature, spinning narratives about who we are, where we came from, and where we're going. But the problem is, a lot of those narratives are written by fear, doubt, and the echoes of voices we picked up along the way. We let the words of others become the ink in our own story, and before we know it, we're reading back to ourselves a script we never signed for. You're too old. You don't have the pedigree. You're not talented enough. You don't belong. Oh yes, they will whisper these lies, not always out of malice, but out of their own limited vision of what is possible. And if you don't stand guard over your mind, you'll begin to believe their script. You'll audition for roles in the limited play they've written for you. And yet, the truth is, you have a bigger part. You have a grander stage. You have a voice that can resonate beyond any box they try to put you in. But you have to rewrite that internal narrative. You must confront those false scripts, rip them up, and compose a new story, one where you are capable, where you are deserving, where you are unstoppable. I want you to know something I've learned over decades in this business and in this life. Talent matters. Skill matters. But if you don't believe in your talent, if your mindset is built on sand, the first gust of wind will knock you down. You see, opportunities will come knocking, but they won't wait outside your door forever. Your mind must be conditioned to recognize them, to pursue them, to claim them. It's not enough to know you can do the work. You have to believe you deserve to do the work. You have to believe you're worthy of the reward. Because the mind will always look for evidence to prove itself right. If you think you're unworthy, you will find countless signposts of no to confirm it. But if you believe you are worthy, you will find the cracks in the wall and you'll find a way to slip through them. Let me share a story with you. Years ago, I was working on a film that had a scene so pivotal to the story that I felt it in my bones. But the director was hesitant. He told me, "Denzel, I'm not sure you can pull off the emotional depth we need here." Now, on paper, those words could have crushed me. I could have walked away from that moment, convinced my portrayal wasn't good enough. But something inside rose up and whispered, "This is your moment. Don't do it for him. Do it for the truth of the character. Do it for the millions of people who will watch and see themselves in that scene." So I went home and I studied. I immersed myself in journals, in real-life testimonies, in my own memories of pain and joy. I let my heart become so entangled with the character's heart that when I showed up on set the next day, I carried not only his story but my own story too. The director watched the playback and tears streamed down his face. He said, "I was wrong, you did it justice. But I didn't do it for him. I did it because I believed in my ability to dig deep, to find truth, to honor the character's journey, and to own every moment." That scene went on to touch so many lives, to spark conversations about forgiveness and redemption. And it all hinged on one choice: to believe in myself even when another man's doubt shadowed my path. Now, there are some of you here thinking, "Yeah, that's fine for you, but my challenges aren't on a movie set. My trials are real-life mortgages, sick loved ones, dead-end jobs, the weight of history." I hear you. I see you. Listen, the stage may be different, but the principle remains the same. If you believe you cannot change your circumstances, you won't. If you believe you cannot break the cycle, you won't. You see, your mindset is the soil in which your future takes root. If that soil is toxic with negativity, shame, and self-doubt, your dreams will shrivel before they even sprout. But if you decide right now to clear out the weeds and plant seeds of possibility, to water them with hope and fertilize them with daily discipline, then watch what can grow. Because with the right mindset, your potential is liquid. It can flow, reshape, take on any form. It can carve a new path through granite. It can fill a reservoir where previously only emptiness existed. Let me take you back to a story Jesus told in the book of Matthew about the mustard seed. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it's the smallest of seeds, when it grows, it becomes the largest of garden plants. It becomes a tree, and birds come and perch in its branches." Now imagine if the man had said, "This seed is too small. It won't amount to anything." He might have trampled on it. He might have gotten impatient and uprooted it. But because he honored that tiny seed, it grew into something magnificent. That's exactly what belief and mindset do for you. Honoring your smallest, most fragile dream, treating it as a powerhouse of possibility, allows it to become a giant in your life. The birds of opportunity will come and find rest in your branches. I know some of you have been embarrassed by your dreams. You've been laughed at, ridiculed, told you're out of your mind for thinking big. But I want you to imagine for a moment the Wright brothers in a dusty bicycle shop in Ohio. Everyone told them that man could not fly, that heavier than air machines were impossible. And yet, they believed. They believed so deeply that they worked in that shop night after night, year after year, wrestling with the physics, the mechanics, the materials. They risked ridicule. They risked financial ruin. And on December 17, 1903, at Kitty Hawk, they lifted that flyer off the ground and the world stood still for a moment. But had they listened to the crowd, had they surrendered to the skepticism of others, we'd still be plodding along the ground. The point is this: the right mindset isn't just confidence, it's defiance. It's the refusal to surrender your dream to the small-mindedness of others. It's the understanding that your vision is your birthright, not an optional accessory that you can discard when others call you silly. Now let me address something else: failure. Because too many of you fear failure like it's the plague. But failure is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Failure is that mentor who shows up in a black suit, pulls out a chair, and leans in close to tell you why you must adjust your course. When you miss that promotion, when your relationship falls apart, when your business falters, when that health diagnosis shakes you, failure is there, offering lessons. But most people slam the door on that teacher and refuse to learn. They think if they don't see failure, they can pretend it doesn't exist. But denial is the enemy of growth. You've got to learn to open the door, invite failure in, sit down, and say, "Teach me, what is it you want me to see?" Because sometimes failure reveals the unexercised muscle faith that you didn't know you had. Sometimes it reveals the ideas that are worth discarding so something better can take root. And sometimes it reveals that you have more resilience than you ever imagined, that you can stand up again, wipe the blood from your knees, and walk forward with deeper wisdom. In my own life, I've tasted bitterness and failure. I've looked in the mirror, red-eyed and bleeding, wondering if I'd ever be enough. But I learned that failure is not a sign that you cannot succeed, but rather that you must refine your approach. It's a sign that the route you're on isn't the only route. It's a sign to take a deep breath, recalibrate, and move forward with a new perspective. When I lost out on the Oscar for Malcolm X, I could have written my own obituary, convinced that I'd peaked and had nowhere left to go. But I refused to let that moment define me. Instead, I let it clarify me. I ask myself, who do I want to be when this dust settles? And in that moment of clarity, I realized my purpose was far bigger than any award. So I got back to work, honing my craft, immersing myself in stories that demanded my voice. And within a few years, I stood on that stage again, and this time, I won. But even if I never had won, the lesson would have remained. Belief, coupled with a disciplined mindset, will outlast any setback. I want you to think of the times you've doubted yourself when you asked, "Who am I to try this?" Maybe you wanted to start a business, go back to school, write a book, or run a marathon. And the voice of hesitation whispered, "Wait, what if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself?" But here's the truth. The world has plenty of embarrassment. We don't need yours excluded. We need your unique voice, your creativity, your contribution. The world needs your story. We need the path that only you can walk. So don't hold your dream hostage because you're afraid of what people might think. People will always have an opinion, and often that opinion will be rooted in what they themselves have given up on. But you were made to go further. You were born to stand on a mountain that their eyes couldn't even see. So let them talk, let them judge, let them cast their doubts while you rise above with your feet firmly planted on the promise of your own potential. Let me ask you this. When you look in the mirror at the end of the day, do you see someone who gave up on themselves? Or do you see someone who fought? Who refused to trade their destiny for the comfort of others' approval? You see, comfort is a funny thing. It's seductive. It whispers, "Stay here. Don't rock the boat. Don't make waves." But comfort is also the sedative that lulls you into mediocrity. And mediocrity is death for the soul that longs to soar. So I urge you, stretch yourself. Reach for discomfort. Go to the edge of your capacity and say, I am willing to try. I am willing to fail. I am willing to believe this is possible. Because the only way you will ever know the height of your wingspan is to leap and discover that the air holds you. It will hold you if your belief is strong enough, if your mindset is determined enough to overcome the gravity of doubt. Now, I know some of you carry the burdens of your past traumas, regrets, family dysfunctions, cycles of addiction or abuse. You've tried to believe in yourself, but those wounds keep dragging you down. I see you. I feel you. I know that sometimes the darkness of yesterday can eclipse the brightness of tomorrow. But let me share a secret. Your past may shape you, but it does not have to define you. You have the power in this very moment to reframe the narrative. You have the power to forgive those who hurt you, to extend grace even where grace feels impossible. You have the power to say, that was then, this is now. When you forgive, you unlock the shackles that have bound you. When you see your past as a source of wisdom rather than a prison of shame, you shift your mindset from victimhood to victory. And victory is not a moment. It's a movement, none, that begins inside your mind and spreads out to every corner of your life. One of the greatest teachers I ever had in life taught me about the value of choices. He said, Denzel, life will hand you situations you cannot control, but you can always control your response. I was young then, brimming with indignation, wanting to blame the world for any slight or setback. But his words cut through my pride and said, if you choose wisely, if you choose belief over bitterness, action over apathy, resilience over resentment, then your life will not be dictated by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens to you. And that is the gift of mindset. It is the decision to transform every obstacle into an opportunity, every sorrow into a springboard, every doubt into fuel. The real alchemy does not happen in the world, it happens within you. You decide whether your circumstances will be your prison or your proving ground. I want you now to close your eyes again, and this time I want you to visualize your greatest aspiration. See it as vividly as you can. Feel what it will feel like when you stand in the center of that dream fulfilled. See the color, the texture, the sound of your name being spoken with respect and gratitude. Notice who is around you. Maybe it's your family, your friends, your community celebrating with you. Now, hold that vision in your mind's eye and let it penetrate your soul. And when doubt creeps in, when the world tries to convince you this vision is silly or impossible, you will already have the blueprint in your heart. You will anchor yourself to that vision. You will say, I see it, I feel it. Therefore, I will align my every thought, every action, every breath with this reality I know is coming. This is not fanciful daydreaming, this is active creation. This is the principle of mind over matter. Because when your mind selects a target, the universe rearranges itself to help you reach it. But only if you refuse to waver. Only if your belief remains unclouded by the storms of discouragement. Only if your mindset is so relentlessly positive that it intimidates negativity into silence. That's how you build an unshakable foundation, one brick at a time, laid with the mortar of self-belief and perseverance. Now, you might be thinking, well, Denzel, that seems all well and good for the successful people, but what about me? I'm just average. I don't have any special gifts. And to that I say, you are not average. You are not a footnote. You are a verse in the grand poem of creation. Maybe you don't feel like you have a flashy talent. Maybe you've never received an accolade, never seen your name in lights, but there is a gift in you that only you can give, be it kindness, wisdom, empathy, humor, resilience. Until you see that gift as consequential as any award, until you believe that sharing that gift is worthy of your time and energy, you will not step into the fullness of your purpose. Stop waiting for the world to tell you that you're special. You tell you. You affirm that in the quiet whisper of your own soul every morning. You rise and say, I have something the world needs. I have a contribution to make. And the world may not applaud today, but in time, the echoes of your offering will ripple out and return to you in blessings you never saw coming. I recall a story I heard about a janitor at NASA, an older man who worked the halls late at night, mopping floors in the quiet hum of fluorescent lights. A young engineer once saw him and asked, "What do you do here?" The janitor replied, "I'm helping to send a man to the moon." The young engineer was puzzled. He said, "But you're just a janitor." And the man said, "Kid, I'm part of something bigger than these floors. I sweep these floors the best I can because I believe in this mission." You see, belief transcends title. Belief transcends paycheck. Belief transcends the immediate evidence in front of you. Because that janitor could see the blueprints tacked to the walls. He could hear the hum of proofs and tests. He could feel the excitement in the air, the sense of purpose that filled that building. And he knew his part was vital. He believed that when his children asked him what he did for a living, he could say, "I helped send a man to the moon." And he did it with his attitude, his dedication, his unshakable belief that he belonged in the story. That's the power of mindset. When you see the bigger picture, you show up not just to collect a paycheck, but to advance a cause. You commit to being excellent, not for applause, but out of reverence for what you're building. So what is your moon? What is the mission that deserves every ounce of your excellence? Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your community. Maybe it's an idea that's been burning in your heart since childhood. Maybe it's a song only you can write, a business only you can launch, a relationship only you can mend. Whatever it is, it begins with belief and is sustained by the right mindset. Because if your mind is full of excuses, "I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough resources. I'm not talented like that other person," you'll stay mopping floors when you were meant to be launching rockets. But if your mind is full of possibility, "I can learn, I can grow, I can stretch," then you will partner with destiny in ways you can't even begin to imagine. Let me also say this. Belief is contagious. Imagine a microphone that catches the faintest whisper and amplifies it across a stadium. Belief works the same way. When you believe in yourself, your confidence radiates out. It emboldens others to believe in themselves. You become a beacon for someone else's courage. I've seen this time and again. Someone in the audience hears a story I share, sees a piece of themselves reflected back, and says, "If he could do it, maybe I can too." And they take that step. They start that project. They make that phone call. They book that appointment. They sign up for that class. And because you believed in your journey enough to share it, you have catalyzed another life. That is the multiplier effect of belief. When you stand firm in your vision, you create a ripple that can become a wave of transformation. Let us address adversity, because adversity is inevitable. Life will deliver to you setbacks that feel like tidal waves. Governments will collapse. Economies will crumble. Loved ones will be lost. You will face health crises, financial ruin, betrayal, heartbreak. Those storms will come. But your mindset is the umbrella that keeps you from being drenched. Your mindset is the layer of armor that deflects the arrows of despair. But here's the detail. Armor doesn't make you invincible. It only allows you to stand in the fray and keep fighting. And every time you choose to stand again, every time you choose to lift your head, every time you choose to say, "I will not be defeated," you reinforce your armor. You become more resilient. You become a testament to the truth that belief, when coupled with determination, can transform tragedy into testimony. I'm reminded of a woman I met in New Orleans, a resilient soul who had lost her home in Hurricane Katrina. She was left with nothing, no roof, no possessions, no clear path forward. And yet, when she spoke, her eyes burned with fire. She said, "I refuse to let this hurricane define me. I refuse to let it break me. I will rebuild, because I know that with the right mindset, any storm can be weathered." She gathered her faith, her community, and her vision for a better future. Piece by piece, she reconstructed her home and her life. She started a foundation to help rebuild neighborhoods. She became a beacon of hope for countless others who might have stayed in despair. Her belief was not naive. It was a declaration of war against defeat. And because she believed, she reclaimed her agency. Because she believed, her community found healing. Her story reminds us that no matter how ferocious the tempest, the right mindset is the rudder that guides you towards safe harbor. Now, I want you to think about your own storms, your own Katrina. Maybe it was a business that collapsed. Maybe it was a relationship that ended in betrayal. Maybe it was a diagnosis that shook your faith. Maybe it was a parent who left you, a child you lost, or a dream that crumbled. Whatever it is, I want you to know this. You have the right to grieve. You have the right to weep. You have the right to scream. This is not about stamping out your pain. Pain is real. Pain is valid. But when the tears fall and the sobs subside, I need you to stand again. I need you to collect the fragments of your brokenness, not to build a prison, but to build a platform, a launch pad for what comes next. Because when you choose to build from your brokenness with belief and intention, you become unstoppable. You become living proof that suffering is not the end of the story, it is the prelude to your greatest act. And so, I challenge you now. Let your scars be the roadmap to your purpose. Let your struggles be the evidence that you were meant to overcome. Let your history be the furnace where your character is refined. Don't hide your story. Share it. Speak your truth with courage. Because there is someone out there who needs to hear that someone else has fought this battle and survived. By sharing, you give that person permission to keep fighting. That is the multiplier effect of belief. And Mind Cetone person's breakthrough becomes the springboard for another's hope. As we continue this journey together, I want you to think about discipline. Perhaps the most underrated aspect of belief is the discipline that backs it up. You see, belief without action is just fantasy. A man can preach all day, I believe I can fly, but if he never builds wings, he'll remain grounded. Discipline is the hand that shapes your vision. It is the daily grind, the early mornings, the late nights, the refusal to watch television when your book needs writing, the choice to decline a party when your business needs building, the sacrifice of comfort when your dream demands effort. It is the regiment of excellence that takes you from where you are to where you need to be. And let me tell you, discipline will whisper to you, sweaty at 5 a.m. You could sleep a little longer. But belief will roar back, not today. This is the moment I rise. That exchange, that battle, is where greatness is forged. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you prove to yourself that your belief is not mere wishful thinking, but a living force that will not be denied. Now, discipline is not a dirty word. I know you might think discipline means restriction, deprivation, giving up all joy. But that's not truth. Discipline is not deprivation, it is the pathway to freedom. When you discipline yourself to stick to your priorities, you free your mind from the chaos of indecision. You free your soul from the guilt of wasted potential. You free your heart from the sting of regret. I've learned that the man who controls his day with discipline is free from the tyranny of his impulses. He is free to create, to love, to serve, to give. He is free to believe in himself because his actions back up his words. And that is how belief and mindset become unbreakable. They are fed by the discipline of consistent action. I want you to picture a violinist. She holds a Stradivarius, the greatest instrument ever made. But without practice, without daily devotion to the scales, without consistent effort to refine her ear and her technique, that instrument is just an expensive piece of wood. But with discipline, those countless hours spent repeating the same scale until her fingers memorize the pattern, her ear memorizes the tone, Her heart memorizes the passion. She transforms that instrument into music that moves souls. In her case, the mindset was belief. I will become a master. I will make this violin sing. And the discipline was her daily practice. The two, together, created artistry. The same is true for you. Whatever instrument you hold, your voice, your talent, your intellect, your entrepreneurial spirit, if you pair belief with discipline, you will produce a symphony that resonates across generations. But discipline alone is cold without purpose. Purpose is the warmth that gives meaning to the sacrifice of discipline. Purpose is the reason your heart flutters when you think of your dream. Purpose is the whisper behind every action that says, do this because it matters. So, if you believe in yourself, fine, but ask yourself, what is the purpose I'm serving? If your purpose is bigger than your obstacles, then your mindset will remain steadfast through any trial. If your purpose is tied to a legacy of service, to lifting others as you climb, to teaching your children to stand on your shoulders, to blessing your community, then you will find the strength to endure even when your belief falters. Purpose is the gasoline you pour on the flames of belief so that it burns bright, even in the driest desert. Find your purpose. Let it speak to you. Write it down. Memorize it. Recite it every morning as you rise and every night as you rest. Let purpose be the soundtrack to your daily grind, the hymn that guides your feet on the narrow path, the anthem that drowns out the whispers of you can't. Perhaps the most powerful catalyst for belief is community, your circle, your tribe, the people you allow in close. Surround yourself with those who believe in possibility, those who celebrate your small wins and challenge you to rise when you stagnate, those who harness your strengths and help you navigate your weaknesses. I'm not saying surround yourself only with people who nod at everything you do that's not helpful either. No, surround yourself with honest brokers, people who won't lie to you but who won't demolish your dignity either. People who tell you the truth of your situation, but with compassion that fuels your resolve to become more. There is a profound power in collective belief, in shared mindset. When you see others striving, succeeding, failing, and rising again, it emboldens you to do the same. It reminds you that you're part of something greater than your solitary struggle. It reminds you that dreams are not built in isolation. They are built in correlation, hearts beating together in pursuit of personal and communal excellence. I want you to take a look around. Look at the person next to you. Maybe you've never spoken more than hello, but you share this moment right now. You share this promise to step beyond fear. You share this vow to believe in something bigger. That's not coincidence. That's community at work. That's destiny weaving threads through our lives. Let us be the kind of community that refuses to let one another slip into discouragement. Let us be a family of belief, an army of mindset, a collective force that lifts each other to greater heights. When you feel the pull of doubt, reach out. When your fire dims, let someone fan the flame. When you stumble, let someone remind you that falling is not final. We are stronger together. We rise together. We claim victory together. I've said a lot about belief, mindset, discipline, purpose, community. Now, let me bring it all together with this. You are worth the fight. You are worth the struggle. You are worth the time it takes to reframe your mind, to reset your habits, to renew your vision, to recommit to your purpose. And sometimes it feels like a lonely journey, but it doesn't have to be. That's why we come together, to remind one another that our spark of possibility is sacred. It's not to be wasted on self-doubt. It's not to be buried under the rubble of I can't. It is to be unleashed into everything we touch. You were not created to lurk in the shadows of uncertainty. You were created to burst forth in the brilliance of possibility. Believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, and hold fast to the truth that with the right mindset, anything is possible. As you rise from your seat tonight, I want you to carry this conviction to whatever you do next, be it going home to study, going back to that job, returning to a house that feels too small for your dreams, heading back into a classroom where you feel like you don't belong. I want you to walk into your life as someone who knows the power they hold. I want you to greet your challenges not with dread, but with delight, because you know that each challenge is an invitation to exercise your belief and your mindset. I want you to treat every setback as a setup for a comeback. I want you to remember that every time your mind says you can't, you shout back, I will. Every time your heart trembles in fear, you steady it with the promise that you were built for this moment. And every time your soul feels weary, you remind it that you are the author of your own story, and there are still chapters to be written. There is a moment coming for each of us, a pivotal point that arrives disguised as ordinary. It may be an email in your inbox, a phone call you're too afraid to answer, a flicker of inspiration in the dead of night, a knock on the door. It may be so subtle you almost miss it, and the world will be whispering, walk away. It's too late. You're not ready. But when that moment comes, I need you to stand firm. I need you to believe in every ounce of the training you've poured into your mind. I need you to step into that moment, greet it like an old friend and say, I'm ready. I've been believing. I've been preparing. I've been cultivating the right mindset. And then you seize it. You seize it with everything you've got. Because in that moment, you cross from who you were into who you were always meant to be. So, my dear friends, as we part ways tonight, I leave you with this final exhortation. Guard your heart, guard your mind, nurture your belief, strengthen your mindset, pursue your purpose with tenacity, embrace discipline as your ally, surround yourself with those who believe with you, confront failure as a teacher, stand taller in the face of doubt, and carry within you the timeless truth that you were created to matter, to thrive, to overcome, to inspire. No circumstance, no setback, no naysayer, no fear can stand against a life fueled by unwavering belief and an unbreakable mindset. Your future is not dictated by your past or your present. It is shaped by the choices you make in this very moment, choices to believe, to act, to persevere, to serve. And if you choose these things, if you choose them again and again, you will discover a life of abundance, a life of impact, a life of lasting significance. Now go. Go and set the world on fire. Go and show everyone that when a person believes in themselves, their potential is boundless. Go and let your life be the sermon that tells others that indeed, with the right mindset, anything is possible. God bless you, keep you, and guide you every step of the way. And may you carry this truth in your heart. You were made to rise. You were made to overcome. You were made for greatness. Thank you, and may God bless you. You've just finished listening to the show. To view other episodes, please click on the playlist icon currently displayed on the screen. Thank you.